The space station is more than 400 kilometers from the ground. So how do astronauts rocket into space? What are the thrilling steps they go through? Well, today let's follow the animation to see how the astronaut trajectory on the rocket actually works. First, a few days before the launch, researchers here assemble the rockets. At the top is the manned section. In addition, in order to protect its safety. There's also this outer shell, which is used to block the heat generated by atmospheric friction. Once assembled, the rocket will be transported to the launch site in a special rail car. Note that this process requires extreme caution and very slow traveling speeds, because if you're not careful, you'll lose everything. So this process alone can take hours to complete. The rocket is then taken to the launch pad, and then it's put up like this. At the same time, these supports around here will hold the rocket steady and support it. The masts on either side are used to carry power and electricity, and the service tower here is for final checks on the rocket. It can be extended to all corners of the rocket for comprehensive inspection and correction. It's divided into 3 propulsion processes, and the 4 below are the first stage. The longer one in the center is the second stage, and the smaller one on top is the third stage. The bottom part is the bottom engine. Next to the engine is the young nozzle corrector. The center stage is also equipped with 4. It's worth noting that when they start to burn for flight, every time they finish the first stage, they'll be disengaged and discarded one after another. This is to reduce the weight and ensure the normal flight of the manned spacecraft above. As we can see from the image, at the top of the ship is a very important escape device, also known as the escape tower. If anything goes wrong during the launch, this escape tower can quickly take the spacecraft out of the air and ensure the safety of our astronauts. But most of our technology can't use it now. But in earlier times, when rocket technology was less developed, this tower played an important role. Then, once the crew has checked the rocket from end to end, it's time to fill it with fuel. At this point, the countdown to launch begins in about 5 hours. After another 2 hours, our astronauts will be sent to the launch base, and the little box that each of them is holding is the main device that they'll use in space. That's why it's so valuable. The total height of the rocket is about 60 meters, and there's an elevator inside designed to transport the astronauts. Once at the top, they'll enter through a hole in the side. For the next 2 hours or so, the astronauts will stay inside and test the data until everything is in order for the launch. Meanwhile, the crew outside will double-check the rocket's components to make sure everything is in order. Next, when it's half an hour before the scheduled launch, the service racks will slowly open like this. In another 10 minutes at this point, all personnel will need to be evacuated when it's less than a minute to the scheduled time. At this point, all the racks and poles will be retracted, just like in the scene. The fuel at the bottom starts to burn, and the rocket starts to rise slowly, like this. Then at 20 seconds, the rocket will slowly tilt like this and start to fly to the preset orbit. After that, at 2 minutes, the upper escape tower will have completed its mission and will be detached. At the same time, the thrusters at the bottom will disengage one after the other and keep burning. It can reach the first cosmic speed of 7.9 kilometers per second. You can imagine how strong the astronauts feel when they're in there. After about 2 minutes at this point, the rocket has already passed through the atmosphere. At this point, the outer layer of the rocket protective device will be disengaged. After 5 minutes of liftoff, the thrusters at the bottom of the rocket will detach, and the spacecraft will enter a stable orbit. At this point, the astronauts inside the spacecraft will begin to feel the weightlessness of being off the planet. At this point, the spacecraft will turn on its solar panels to provide it with a constant supply of power, and then it's going to be chasing the station at thousands of kilometers an hour along its orbit, and then it's going to dock with it. It's worth remembering that the spacecraft's docking with the space station is the highlight of the show.